Welcome back, guys, to episode 16, right?
Yep, 16. 100%.
That's nice. So this episode, we're gonna talk about, different I guess technologies or languages or frameworks, anything related to programming or making stuff via like programming languages that we're interested in learning. And if we started learning about frameworks or like ideas or like projects that we started, like what did we learn, and can we share that with like the people who are listening to this podcast?
Yeah.
I guess you can start.
Okay, I'll go first. So in terms of stuff that I'm interested in learning, definitely, I think the top of my list right now is to get into machine learning. I've been like reading a few articles and stuff about it. I haven't messed around with it yet, but it seems genuinely, it's really cool. It's like, I mean, everybody knows it exists, right? Machine learning, artificial intelligence, all that stuff. But when you actually read about like how like ML is done, like, or how, for example, like natural language processing is done, it's not like as especially if you use a language like Python, it doesn't seem like as like difficult as you'd think. You'd think that like, oh man, a computer thinking, like that's like in a sense thinking, obviously it's not actually thinking, that like you'd think that like this is some crazy convoluted stuff you have to do. But no, there's like so many libraries you can have to do, and like it's, you're basically training your algorithm, and there's like tons of resources out there. Like I think you know what Kaggle is?
Yeah.
Right, like Kaggle has like
the
a
data
ton
science. Yeah, you can explain what it is.
Like yeah, it's like a thing for like people interested in data science, like getting like data sets and like I guess like practice problems or something like that.
And there's also like machine learning competitions on that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ML stuff. So like I don't know, you just Google something and it just came up. I like read an article here and there. Yeah, that's something I'm definitely interested in learning. Hopefully soon. And it kind of ties into like kind of data visualization as well. I mean, obviously, if you're going to run an ML algorithm for something, whatever you're analyzing, you'd probably like to put it in a nice chart or graph or something like that. So kind of combining those two, add in a little bit of, I don't know, maybe web development. There's a lot of potential there. So I'm kind of looking forward to learning stuff like that. So yeah, not overly specific, but
like, what would you use it for? Is there like an application that comes to mind that you would personally use it, or what your first project looked like when you started out like learning ML?
So in terms of like a specific project, probably I don't know, maybe like some like customer review stuff. Like I see like people like always practicing with like hey, let's do analysis on Amazon reviews or something, just to like learn some stuff.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so like and doing stuff like that, seeing like, okay, what percentage of people really like this product based off like their comments only, right? So like processing like language, like, you know, the algorithm will be able to like determine that like, hey, this person likes this with like, you know, I can say with like, I don't know, 75% confidence that this person really likes this product, or 75% of it, for example, versus this person, like you could say like, I don't know, 80% hates it. And, you know, just like exploring stuff like that. So nothing too crazy, but maybe something like that. I think that's a pretty common, at least for natural language processing, that's a pretty common place to start.
That sounds pretty cool.
How about you?
I'm interested in a lot of stuff. Like, I'm also interested in ML. Hopefully take like a Coursera course, the famous Andrew Ang course on it, hopefully during the summer. I'm also interested in web development. If I want to like really narrow it down, WebSocket Programming is something I'm really interested in. So I'll explain briefly what it is. So whenever you open up a web page, you send a request to a computer, which is called a server, that you want to receive data from it. That you know. So for example, if I type in www.google.com, I'll send a request to Google's IP address, and it will respond to me by giving me HTML and CSS and JavaScript that renders a page. And that page can be dynamic. In other words, like you can, it's like it changes depending on who's looking at it, what time of day, if they have an account, stuff like that. Um, and it can be static, where just you get like a blank or like just pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript page with no like sort of like back end code or any sort of manipulation of data, trickery in it. So WebSocket programming is, instead of just a call, a back and forth, or back and it's, I would like, usually these are like HTTP requests. WebSocket programming, think of it like a two-way communication channel. HTTP is not back and forth. It's just like mostly one way. But like with WebSocket programming, you can send data to the server, and the server can give you data. And it's like, it's open. It's like a session that's open, and you can get stuff in real time. So if you're for example, you make a multiplayer game, WebSocket programming is used in that. So for example, I'm playing some sort of FPS. I point my gun and I shoot. That will register, the direction of the bullet, and that will go to the server, and then that server sort of spreads it to the other people who are playing. But that's a real-time connection. It's not just like I send a request, and then every other person who has a client program that asks stuff from the server, main server. It's not like they have to constantly be asking or polling. That's what you call when you're just constantly asking the server for like new data. It's like an open session. The server is literally like hand feeding you the data. From disclaimer, this is just like the rudimentary like basics from what I've learned. This may be completely wrong. If so, do comment and I would love to learn the correct terminology or definitions. But that's what the general gist of WebSocket programming that I get. Another thing I'm really interested in is working with Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, because I feel like as like just CS students, we're more so like grounded in like software and not too much in like hot like actual like circuits and stuff. But I do want to get into that because I feel like there's like bringing stuff into the physical world adds like this extra element of like awesomeness into our projects. So
that's a good quote. I feel like that's something that should go in like someone's like Facebook or like even like a LinkedIn. Like I will bring the extra like element of awesomeness.
Probably like really big, but okay. What's another thing I wanted to do? Like, and just web development in general, like a back end. I want to actually get into SQL because like when I was using Django, the SQL part is quite like abstracted. If you ever use Django, they have their own like, I forgot what the term is, but it's like a wrapper that like connects your like Django program to your MySQL or Postgres, your database. But Postgres and MySQL are types of like databases, but all of them have one thing in common, is that you use something called SQL or structured query language to make requests and get data from them. Each of them, I think, each of them have their own flavor of SQL, but like the core like elements are the same across like all of, like the different types there are.
I really hope I can take we have that database class, right, at Davis?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I really want to take that.
Most colleges have a class like devoted to database systems, and I do.
Yeah, database systems. That's exactly what it's called. Yeah.
Because it's not only really applicable to web development stuff, but it's also really applicable to data science, because you have all this data now, but where do you put it? You can't just put it in a file. That's pretty stupid. You have to have like a system that facilitates getting data in a structured manner. You know where I'm going with this. You have to use SQL in a database.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure. It's one of like like as we were like choosing like I think we had an episode on this, right? Like we were choosing like our classes, like our electives and stuff. Like that's one of my top. Like I want to take a database systems class. So let's hope that I get that opportunity. And there's not pastime issues or scheduling conflicts or whatnot.
I also feel like when you talk about visualization, I also want to get into something called Tableau. I'm not
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
I've I don't have much of like I think it's something to do with it's like data visualization aspect of that data science cycle, but it's something I want to get into as well.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I've heard it a lot. I think I saw something about it today when I was just browsing the internet.
Hmm.
I just saw it pop up, but I don't know much about it, so I basically don't know anything about it. So probably not my topic. But again, that's something I can learn.
Yeah, and finally, I really want to go and like actually use like a game engine like Godot, so or Godot, whatever it's the correct pronunciation of that game engine is, because I feel I just find game development just it's just so fun because like it's inherently like how do I put this in an eloquent way? Um, it's like it's really liberating in terms of like you have no like boundaries. You can be as creative as you want. You can make like stuff from like scratch, and it's just such a gratifying process seeing your um, game start like with just like a couple of lines of code like and just morph into like something with like a really beautiful interface and like characters moving across the screen. And I find that really gratifying.
Yeah, that's cool.
Game development is another thing I really want to get into.
Those are usually in pretty like low level languages, though, right? Like not like a high level language like Python or something.
Not necessarily. For example, Godot is uses you can use like C sharp, which is pretty high level, or you could use like GD script, which is their own like brand of languages based on Python. So I think
Oh,
that's more of a myth. You don't have to use like C or C++.
oh, that's good. That makes it easier, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think Unity, the Unity game engine is C sharp, which is like a language similar to Java, so it's pretty high level.
Yeah, C sharp was the first thing I ever did in high school. So, you know,
Yeah,
special
that's
place
good.
in my heart, I guess. I haven't actually touched it since 11th grade, so I'll probably have to relearn most of it.
But is there something that you wish like you had like I know you said you wanted to go into more like the data science aspect of like CS and stuff. Um, but is there something that's like outside of data science that you want to look into outside of machine learning and like visualization and data manipulation?
Networks, security,
What in
probably those.
like are you interested in like because they're like these have you heard of CTFs before?
No.
So these are capture the flag um, challenges basically. So they're basically like you hack into a system and then you get this like string or this like hash code or whatever, some sort of like long coded string. You get that and you submit it into like the place that you read the prompt from or you got the instructions from and you get points. It's like think of it like lead code but for hacking.
That's interesting.
Yeah, if you're interested in if anyone listening to this like interested into like actually hacking, not just the stuff they show on like in movies or just like typing the keyboard really fast and stuff. But
Yeah, just hit random
CTF.
keys and like all of a sudden you're in and like the password goes really quickly and like, you know.
No, yeah, CTFs. So the weird thing about CTFs is like there's assembly language involved in that because you're like really manipulating flaws, like even like the tiniest flaws in like a system, and uh, assembly language is like I guess really useful for that type of stuff. But there's also like any other language like C, assembly, Python, just any way to get into a system.
Yeah, you probably need a fast language though, right? I'm
Not
guessing.
necessarily. Nothing. There's. I don't think there's. I mean, maybe. I'm not. I don't have much experience with CTFs, but I don't. I don't think so. It's just like getting into a system. If there's like a time like aspect, I guess that would matter. But like, if you're brute forcing something, I guess maybe. But at the end of the day, if you're brute forcing something, you're gonna run out of time. Even if you write in C, you're gonna run out of like memory some
Yeah,
at
that's
some.
true. That's true.
But
Brute force is never the way to go.
yeah. But yeah. That's CTFs are like really. And if you want to like networking, there's like there is definitely a class at your college that teaches networking. Um, I guess yeah, networking as in general is pretty interesting. Like HTTP requests, like
Yeah.
WebSocket. I guess WebSocket program and HTTP requests are like the the stuff that the aspects of like networking that you can actually interact with if you're doing web development. But like there are probably many other ways you can like, interact with that type of stuff.
All right. I think that's a pretty good summary of what we want to learn going into the future, at least the near future. Learning never stops, I guess. As cliche as it sounds, it's true, especially in CS. Things move fast. So, to summarize, you have like a whole list of things.
Yeah.
From game engine to Raspberry Pi to a little bit of ML. Whereas for me, I guess it's a little bit more tame. At the end of the day, the more you learn, the better.
Yeah.
All right, that's a lesson for the day. Put it in the quote book. All right.
And then see you next time, guys.
Bye, everyone.